Well, for today's Lighthouse Labs, we've got a little bit of a treat, mostly for me, but I wanted you all to share in with all of the fun as well. All of our talk on AI and sort of experiences and fun that we've been having there, we started really wondering and wanting to invest a little bit more in running certain agents locally and operating LLMs locally. And now, if we're going to blame AI for being the cost of memory and hard drives and everything else, then of course what we should do is probably purchase some of this equipment before the prices go sky high. And that's exactly what I have here today. The ultimate goal of this lab is going to be looking at running an LLM locally and what that entails and kind of experience. And so we get these from questions from time to time. But for me, I thought this is a kid on Christmas Day. It would be ridiculous not to start off with unboxing it together. I've got right here the sort of AI in a box, AI miniature supercomputer already set up in a box. This is the NVIDIA DGX Spark. As we break this thing apart, you're going to find an NVIDIA Grace Blackwell processor. It's based on a 20-core ARM processor using a 10 Cortex X925s and 10 cores Cortex A725. That's a lot of compute power. It is a NVIDIA Blackwell-style graphics processor. It is 128 gigabytes of RAM that are stored in this, which are actually unified between the system and the video card in such a way that since AI really wants to use GPU cores, it will effectively steal them from the computer. It's shared across them. 4 terabytes of memory, auto encrypting, so make sure that this stays safe. 4 USB Type-C connectors are on this. 10 gigabit per second general Ethernet. It has 200 gigabyte per second SFP ports that you can use for daisy chaining more than one of these together, so you can actually create your own little cluster. And if that's not fun enough, why not? Let's throw Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.3. It's got multi-channel HDMI for some stupid reason. I guess maybe you want to generate movies on the fly. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, it runs a custom version of Debian called the NVIDIA DGX OS and helps make everything go round. I've been staring at this for 24 hours. I think we really need to break into it. What do you think? All right, let's start. Now it's shipped in a pretty simple, plain cardboard box. Only thing you see is this, the giant green banner. And on the back, or I guess you could say the bottom, it reiterates some of the specs. So I'm not as smart as I actually am. And then we've got our separate pull tabs here. Man, let's just take a look at this thing. Is this going to be satisfying? I hope this is satisfying. I hope this works for you too. If it doesn't, then we'll just never do another one again. Oh, all right. You know what? They knew that was so good. They put a second one on. I don't know why they put a second one, but you know what? They knew that I would screw this up. NVIDIA, thank you. I'll be, yeah, okay. All right, trash off to the side. So now, let's set her down right, and let's lift. Ooh. Man, where's the smoke? There should be smoke that comes out of this as I open it up. We're gonna knock some points off for that, I think. There should be fog or something that just erupts from it. All right. This is also one of the most overbuilt boxes I've ever witnessed. And this is being a guy who buys a lot of Apple products. Here she is. This we'll look at some other stuff here. This is it. That is the entire supercomputer capable of running AI. There are different models that run this Blackwell chip. It's almost like a small NUC form factor for people who are interested in operating these. I gotta be honest, I felt like while there are some that do have some better performance, the reason I went with the DGX is because it is very bespoke, and a lot of the drivers and everything are custom made by NVIDIA for this platform. And I would be lying if I also didn't say it's one of the more beautiful units on the market. It's this nice little texture like stucco going on here on the front and back. You have your intake vents. Well, I guess I shouldn't assume that they are both intakes, but we have our vents on the top. This looks like these are exhausts on the bottom. A little bit of rubber sitting here so that she doesn't slide around too much. We continue the little stucco theme on the back. And if you are able, we've got power button. Then we have all of those fancy USB-Cs. You've got your HDMI port. You've got your 10 gig Ethernet. Then you have those two 200 gig. These are pretty much designed for clustering. And it's just a beautiful color. See what else they gave us. Of course, put our finger in the middle, just without no regard as to whether or not something will bite it off. Pull off the next layer. Literally, just a ton of cardboard, springy. If you're into eco stuff, I guess I give them credit that's not printed cardboard at least, so this should be pretty easy to recycle. And it is got this felt on here designed so that it doesn't scratch that finish. So they did try a little bit. We've got our quick start guide, and I've got my finger over the default password for you. If I don't, we'll make sure that we blur that out. But this sort of gets you hooked up, gets you logged in. You can do this entire system headless. So there's a web server on it. And what'll happen is you just plug her in, turn her on, give her a few minutes to boot, join its Wi-Fi network to sort of configure it for the first time, let it reboot again, and she'll be connected in. So not too shabby at all. Let's see, anything fun in here? There's nothing super surprising in here. It's pretty much step 1, plug everything in. Step 2, press power button. Step 3, randomly figure out how to configure this thing. Step 4, all of the LLMs. What else we got in the box? What's in the box? We've got our cable, a little Mickey Mouse cable. It's got a nice little tactile feel to it. They did kind of go premium on it, which I guess I can't be too upset about. And then that is a heck of a power brick she's got. Wonder how big she is. I don't know because it's very faintly written, but not too bad. Plugs in, uses USB-C, which I do believe is, yeah, sitting right there. Now they tout that for USB-C, and I'm just having a realization of they don't really give us 4 USB-C if one of them is dedicated towards power in. You expect more from a $4,000 computer. I thought maybe there'd be a USB-C. Maybe we'll just use a cheap dock with it, and then I can get my USB-C port back. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Take a look. That's pretty much all she is. But that's not really why we bought it, so we could put it together and just unbox it on TV. No. We're going to do some fun stuff, play around with it a little bit. So through the magic of television, the next thing you're going to see is this baby booted up, running, and us playing. All right. Star wipe. Okay, so the device is no longer on the desk, and that's for a very good reason. We decided to go ahead and put that inside the rack just so that it had a nice home to play around with, and it had a good network connection. So instead, we're going to do some things remotely, but let's check out what it's like to host our own AI and play around a little bit. For this session, it's not going to be like a tutorial on how to do any of this, mostly just an introduction to the DGX Spark, what it can do, a little bit about what you can feel about on the performance side of things if you're looking to play around with these. But it's also about showing that these LLMs can be hosted locally, or at least some of them, and what you could expect if you wanted to try to work with them yourself. It's sort of a, hey, look, we can make this private. So what we'll start off with is taking a look. Now, we use a technology called Docker. Is the easiest way for us to set these up, because a number of these LLMs are prepackaged and running. And so what we need is we need something that can run, like an engine of sorts, to run these large language models. And so for today, for our demo, we're going to use Ollama. It's a very popular one. There are a dozen of these things out there that may not be the best for you, for your hardware, or whatever, but for the standpoint of the DGX Spark, Ollama has a lot of pre-built recipes and optimizations right out of the box. It makes it super easy for the sake of our demo today. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to find Ollama, but we're also going to need something because we want to chat with it, just like you would if you were going to play around with ChatGPT, right? And so we need a system to communicate with it. And there's a very popular one called OpenWebUI. So we're going to grab OpenWebUI that is already pre-built with Ollama. So we'll start off, and I'm going to start by downloading our OpenWebUI Docker container. It's kind of like a pre-built image that includes everything we need. And there's actually an Ollama specific version. So what we'll do is we'll start off by downloading that. And I'm going to use the tag Ollama, which tells it to use the Ollama engine. So go ahead and we'll do that. Hey, it looks like I've actually already got this one downloaded and it's up to date. This is a good thing. It saves us a bit of trouble, doesn't it? Okay. So then what we want to do is we want to run it. So for today, here's what we're going to do. Again, not really meant to be here's a tutorial on how to use Docker. But effectively what I'm doing is telling it is, hey, we're going to run this Docker container. These are the ports that I'm exposing and what they need to connect to. Now, because this is a large language model and graphics cards are typically what we use for the most performance, I'm passing in this GPU's parameter and saying all to allow it to use everything it can on the GPU side of our DGX Spark. And then to make this easier, I'm going to call it Labs Demo. And then I'm going to, remember we did the pull, that was the download. Now we're going to actually run that container. Awesome, nothing happened, except it did, don't worry. We can see it should be running. Let's go ahead and let's go into our browser, because actually what should happen is as this boots up, we are now looking at OpenWebUI. It's an open source chat interpreter that can communicate with an LLM engine on the back end. We're using Ollama on there. So let's go ahead and let's get started. I'm just going to say Matt, even though it's his full name. It's asking me for my email address. Again, we're not actually emailing or creating or, you know, it's all pre-built. Not even going to make a super heavy password for this. Remember, it's all internal. This isn't on the internet anywhere. Okay, we're locked in. That's it. Already, you can see this looks a lot like what you would see like on a Chat GPT or Hats or any of those. So let's just say, hello, how are you today? Oh, model not selected. Well, that's because we've got our web interface, we've got our llama, but we actually need something to understand the brains of the whole operation, right? So we need to come up with something. I'm gonna be uninventive and we're gonna use the open source version of ChatGPT. So for me, I'm gonna come up where it says select a model. It says no models available. And I'm just gonna see GPT-OSS. And this gives me a quick, nice and convenient, pull this from olama.com. I know this one should work, so we'll go ahead and we'll do that. And from here, what we're doing is we're effectively downloading the framework of that brain, that LLM of ChatGPT's open source model. So we'll give it just a little bit of time. You'll see it seems to be going pretty quickly. And then from there, we'll be able to engage with ChatGPT effectively. All right, so it's just wrapping up doing the download and validating everything, making sure that it was all legit as possible, and we can see that it has been successfully downloaded. Perfect. We now have GPT-OSS latest installed. So there's our model. We can say, hello, how are you today? Let's go ahead, let's start off. We'll go through. Now there is something that is pretty important to admit. A couple of things. One, as we engage with this for the very first time, you're going to notice that this is going to be very slow. There's a couple reasons for this. One, it only downloads from the beginning the bare minimum of what it can. And so it'll keep bringing in more and more knowledge as it needs to. And it's also going to cache some of this on some of these models because some of them can get quite big. You saw ultimately that seemed to have taken about, even though it says it thought for less than a second, it did take like 30 or 40 seconds. And as this model warms up and it starts working and it's able to cache more and more over time, it should get a little bit faster. Of course, the DGX Spark is not what you're going to find when you pay that big money to OpenAI or Anthropic or any of those guys because they're running these in giant data centers so that they can do these in fractions of a second instead. But again, we just asked it and it's all local. So we could say, could you give me an idea of what I can do with you? Hit enter. And so right off the bat, we're seeing, hey, it's starting to spin up, it's starting to warm. That's not too bad for performance on this little device. And so now we can say, hey, what can I do? What can you do? I don't think it can do this. So let's find out, can you help me with my graphics project? I don't know. Is that a thing? So there we go. Now, just like if you're familiar with hats, you'll notice that here's a plus button in which we can include our augmented support if you needed to include documentation, what have you, if you wanted to capture a photo or upload things, or even if you wanted to reference another chat. There's a lot of cool features that Open Web UI has. But there you go, just right there. Here I have inside my company, I have the ability to run this. Now, another thing that's really cool, there's some programs out there, not just this Open Web UI. Now, Open Web UI is this beautiful little web interface that allows us to interact with it. But Open Web UI is not the only game in town. And if you're looking for, say, like a Claude Code sort of competitor, there's an organization called Open Code. It could talk to this exact same model. And there you go, you can start creating your own systems. Another thing, if you're really interested in OpenClaw, the DGX Spark has a built-in recipe that allows you to create a personal agent. Didn't really want to do that because for me, there's a little bit of a privacy issue. You're going to start connecting it to a lot of third-party data. And for me, that privacy right now is kind of important as we still are getting comfortable with what we should allow AI to have access to and not. But that's it. In a nutshell, that is the DGX Spark and how you can very quickly, easily run your own models just sitting right there in your own house. Have a great day.